Hello, welcome to the Tipsy Theory podcast. I'm Adrian, and I'm here with Allysha, my lovely partner in life. And we are so glad that you've decided to spend the next 20 or so minutes with us to learn about things that you may have not already known, some interesting dinner conversation that you can have with the second cousin twice removed that you don't really know what to talk about with. So we're going to be talking about The More You Know, our most popular and currently only segment available on this podcast, and something that Allysha and I love to bring to you. So I'm going to pass the microphone over to Allysha, and she's going to walk you through what we're going to be learning about today. Take it away, Allysha.
So for today, we're going to be learning about 4 main topics that you can hopefully bring up at your next frat party. The first one is going to be in the history of today. So we're going to learn about a fun fact from May 8th. We're going to learn about physics. We're going to learn about the world. And then we're going to end it off with Florida Man Friday, because every day is Florida Man Friday. So do you want to start us off today?
Absolutely. I'm totally going to do that. But before we do, let's talk about what we are drinking today. An ongoing theme about this podcast is that we are going to post alongside every podcast a drink recipe that we will actually be consuming while performing this podcast, all in the name of making it a little bit more entertaining for you. So, Allysha, what are we drinking today?
Well, today we are drinking Boozy peppermint lattes, because you all know that sometimes you need that extra pick-me-up with the caffeine, and Red Bulls usually aren't your best friend. So this one has Bailey's, peppermint vodka, as well as some hot chocolate and Nespresso.
For those of you who can't afford a full espresso machine, you should absolutely go invest in a Nespresso machine instant coffee. Not a paid advertisement. I just really love it. Speaking of which, today's paid advertisement is brought to you by Groundhog Marketing Automation. Groundhog is a WordPress plugin that allows you to manage your list, send emails, and communicate with your subscribers, allowing you to do what most other softwares charge for absolutely free. Link in the description below, and more at the end of the show. So let's launch into our first topic, which Allysha is going to read to us.
So today, the day that you're listening is May 8th, and I decided to find an interesting fact of what happened today. Now, mine is more music related, and believe it or not, back in 1970, today is the day that Let It Be by the Beatles came out, the entire album.
I'm not sure about you, but I certainly have a soft spot in my heart for that song. I actually sang that song with my, I want to say, grade 4 or 5 class. We had a whole music recital. My dad was there to play the piano for some reason, but we had like the whole school in the gym up on the bleachers singing Let It Be. I was actually a pretty good singer when I was in like grade 5. I played Oliver in the high school, the local high school production of Oliver. I wore mascara and everything.
Wow, that's very committal.
Yes.
I was actually never a fan of the Beatles. I only listened to Hilary Duff and the Jonas Brothers until I was at least 15. So my music spectrum was very, very low until I hit high school. But as a non-Beatle fan, I looked up some facts about the album to contribute to my conversation. Do you want to hear them?
Well, I'm assuming you're going to read them to me anyway, so why not?
I just have the one. So, I have multiple, but I'm only going to read one.
Why not read all of them? Read all of them.
Well, I picked one that I found the most interesting. So, my fact about Let It Be, which came out today, was that Paul McCartney announced that he was leaving the Beatles with the release of his first solo album, which came out on April 17th. So before Let It Be came out. And I guess prior to that, Ringo was sent to McCarthy's house to try and delay the release of his solo album so it wouldn't hurt the Let It Be album, and he ended up kicking the drummer out of his house. So I guess the Beatles didn't really end on the most happy note, but...
Well, obviously not, because, like, he dead.
Yes, but he...
And this has been This Day in History. Thank you so much, Allysha. That was some interesting facts about the Beatles. No, it didn't end on happy note, because he's hella dead.
Yes, but that was before he was dead. Okay.
Well, thank you for that. So, if you are ever talking to your uncle who is, for some reason, the biggest Beatles fan and has a fake signed copy of a guitar from Ringo Starr hanging on the wall in his basement, even though Ringo Starr was a drummer, then you can let him know that Paul McCartney went solo before the release of Let It Be on May 8th. May 8th. Okay, well,
Also, I would just like to redeem myself and state that John Lennon was killed in 1980, which was 10 years after the release of Let It Be.
The more you know. So I'm going to share a world fact next. So an interesting fact about the planet Earth and the universes in general that we live in, simply because these are always facts that you can pull out of your you-know-what whenever you are presented with the world's worst creature, the know-it-all. So if you find yourself in a especially dangerous encounter with a know-it-all and you're backed against the corner and his claws are showing and you need something in order to defend yourself, you can use this. So gender identity has been something that has been rocking our social network and our social foundation as a society. Many of us are divided on whether someone should be able to classify something that they were not technically born as, or something that the human race would not technically identify as in general, like a horse or a cat. This has been a topic that has been seriously reconsidered in whether you should actually go to the hospital and seek surgery in order to actually change the way that your appearance is. However, this is not an unknown concept to nature, as it would appear, as there are several species which naturally can change their biological sex in accordance with their immediate surroundings. So it turns out that clownfish, wrasses, moray, eels, gobies, and other fish species are known to change sex, including reproductive functions. So that goes downtown to your John Thomas that I learned about today.
I'm sorry, did you say wrasses? What is a wrasses?
It's what it says on my piece of paper right here.
Did you not do your research?
It's on my piece of paper. So I did my research. Do I know what a wrasse is? No, but...
A wrasse, if that's even how you pronounce it, is just a fish.
Well, it says fish species right here. Anyway, so a school of clownfish is built into a high carry with a female fish right at the top. And when she dies, the most dominant male fish switches sex in order to assume the leading female position. Now talk about the matriarchy.
So clownfish, that's like Nemo, correct?
Correct.
So hypothetically, Marley, that name Marlin, would have been at the top of the hierarchy. So does that mean he turned into a mom for Nemo?
No, what it means is Hollywood is a patriarchy because Marlin should have turned into a female if they were following the laws of nature.
But how do we know he didn't?
Because Finding Nemo 2 came out, and he was still a hella dad.
I mean, he could have been a dad mom.
You mean like the guys from Modern Family?
No, but just like, like, so that is a plausible situation though at that point.
Yeah, yes. So anyway, the point being that, if your neighbor has been exhibiting signs that you are unfamiliar with, those signs are not out of accordance with nature in general, and it is not against any sort of higher power's will or anything like that you might assume. So an interesting fact that switching sex and switching genders is actually found naturally in nature, in our oceans, and frogs have also been known to induce this. If you watched Jurassic Park, and there's that scene where that dinosaur just turns into a male, and anyway, life finds a way.
Yes, because Jurassic Park is absolutely where you should get your facts from all of the time.
Well, Wikipedia said so it must be true.
Only 50% fact checked.
Okay, well, let's go on to our next segment. What do you have for us?
So our next segment is Florida Man Friday, because every day is Friday to the Florida Man. And I actually am very proud of the one that I found. You're going to enjoy it. Are you ready?
I'm ready to lay it on me.
Okay, so this one keeps going. So you're going to think I'm done at least 3 separate times, but I'm not going to be. So don't look at my laptop. So, a Florida man was charged with a DUI, but it wasn't exactly the kind of DUI that you were expecting. So a police officer was actually parked and left his vehicle and was inside a business when he heard a loud crash. So he went outside to see what happened to find out that a Florida man had crashed a lawnmower into his cruiser. So of course, like a ride-in lawnmower, he approaches the man, was like, "What the fuck, bro?" And this man said, apparently word for word, "Fuck it, I'm drunk. Take me to jail." So the police officer then obviously arrests this man for a DUI, tries to get a breathalyzer test from him. But on the way to the station to get a breathalyzer test, he then continues to blame police officers for poisoning him and trying to kill him. And that's Florida Man Friday. He was arrested. They eventually got a test out of him and he blew .24 over the limit. And he remains in custody at this moment.
.24 is like an entire bottle of vodka.
They also found cocaine in his system, which would explain the whole "you're trying to poison and kill me" freak out that he had in the back of a cruiser.
You see, I hear cocaine and alcohol is tricky because that's like a hella up and a hella downer. And it doesn't necessarily just cancel out as many people believe. But that is quite the turn of events for that one Florida man, for sure.
I think my favorite thing about it, though, is that instead of trying to hide the fact that he was drunk, he turned to the police officer and was like, "Fuck it, I'm drunk. Take me to jail." Like, that's the kind of mood that all Florida men should have.
I think that is the mood all Florida men have.
That's very fair.
Okay, well.
And his ride-in lawnmower was impounded and towed away.
Towed. Oh, God. Okay. Moving on swiftly. Okay, so we have an interesting physics fact for you. I love physics. Physics is a wonderful subject because there's just so much cool shit about a universe that people just don't know. And this one I find especially interesting because if you're hella rich, then you can make this work for you. So do you ever wonder why Jennifer Aniston from Friends, if you don't know her, she's Rachel from Friends. She just appears ageless, right?
It's Aveeno, isn't it?
I thought is it Aveeno or Nivea?
I think it's Aveeno. Let me fact check.
Okay, well, regardless of what other skincare product it is, she always seems ageless, but I don't think it's actually Nivea. See, I have a theory.
It's Aveeno.
It's Aveeno. I don't think it's because of Aveeno. I actually have a theory. So she's like hella rich, right? So she can afford really, really fast vehicles like private jets and really, really fast cars, right? So she can afford these kinds of things. Now, according to Albert Einstein's special theory of relativity, time passes slower the faster you're moving. Okay?
I have heard about this.
So you're following me. So time passes essentially slower the faster you go. If you were to travel at the speed of light, which is theoretically impossible because you need to have an unlimited amount of energy. If you were to travel at the speed of light, time would stop. For you, anyway, you would perceive time to stop. You would essentially be hurtling across the universe at 300 million meters per second, and you would be ageless.
Okay.
So I think that what Jennifer Aniston is doing, is she's just hopping in a Ferrari, and she's just ripping around a track for like 10 hours a day, because you can actually save yourself possibly seconds. It would actually be more likely in the realm of nanoseconds to actually save any sort of amount of time. But if you were you're driving down the highway makes you live longer than if you were just sitting at home.
So what you're telling me is that I want to look like Jennifer Aniston. I just need to get a private jet, never leave it. Like, go to Paris for breakfast and then come back.
Granted, if you were to fly your private jet, I don't know why I can't speak. My mouth just isn't working. If you were to fly a private jet nonstop around the world for your entire life, you might only actually live longer than somebody else for maybe minutes, maybe an hour. I don't actually have the math in front of me. It would be a nominal amount. But even if you were in a private jet, you probably still wouldn't even live longer than most people, because you'd be confined to that space, unable to eat, unable to move around, unable to get a generous amount of exercise. So there are limitations to this. So can we actually live indefinitely to propel Jennifer Aniston across the universe in a hurtling spacecraft at the speed of light? Maybe. Would it be practical? Maybe not.
I mean, there's basically an entire movie dedicated to why you can't live on a spaceship, and it never turns out right. WALL-E.
Oh, yeah. Although Star Trek would have you think that it's actually pretty lit.
That's fair, but in Star Trek, there's like other life forms, and WALL-E there isn't. So that's when Jennifer Aniston hops on a spaceship to look 10 years younger. Instead, she actually gains 15 pounds.
Yeah, but her skin, especially if she brings a vino with her.
Honestly, I just think that Jennifer Aniston's secret is that she has a lot of people to help her with those face masks and Botox.
Well, that's your interesting physics facts for the day. The more you know. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next week. Thank you.
And cue the exit music.